Sorry, I zoned out.
After spending Friday with you, I actually thought to myself, like, I don't know how well her medication works. And then today I'm like, oh, it does. Welcome to Recapping Romantasy, hot takes on hot literature. Who are we?
We are me, Emma.
I am Maura.
And I am Tabitha. Recapping Romantasy contains mature content from fairy smut to dragon rider torture to monster genitalia. Be sure to check the episode notes for content warnings and links to our socials. Today we are talking about From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is what I would call one of the primary texts in the romantasy genre. Would you both agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite popular. It's usually like the first one that a lot of people read. The author is generally pretty prolific. At the beginning of this book, they listed some of her other stories, and I counted at least 57 individual books.
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
shit.
Yeah, a lot of series. Those of you who've been with us for a while might remember our second ever episode was another one of hers, The Fall of Ruin and Wrath, which I still remember as the story where the female main character was on page fingered, like 7 times?
I think it was
Yeah,
5.5.
Yeah, there was like a half fingering in there somehow.
Yeah, just a graze.
Around the lips.
Yeah, there's much.
Sure.
There's much less fingering in this one. I think there might be one at most.
Sad. Well, you know what? She was picking up steam. This was one of her first books. Wasn't it?
Yeah. She had to get into the groove.
Yeah.
Literally.
This is baby JLI.
I think she has a series that came out before this. There might be 2.
Well, like I said,
doesn't
there's
matter.
57 books, so hopefully those aren't all from the past 5 years.
Oh my
That's
God.
impressive.
That's manic energy.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, she seems quite popular. What was the drama with her name? There's like another author with the same name.
Yeah. So there's an author named Jenny Trout, and her name is Armentrout, and she published a very similar vampire book under her name, Jennifer Armentrout. And then JLA showed up and published something also extremely similar with this Jennifer Armentrout name. And the assumption is that there was a bit of, I don't want to say knowledge on her part that she was going after her author readership, but it's kind of what is subtly said in author circles. But I have no proof to that. Mm-hmm. Just that is what Jenny Trout believes. And
it's hard to say because people love vampires.
They do. They love
That's
vampires.
True.
And
they love romance.
A super weird coincidence with the name. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it was unintentional, no one will be able to say.
Yeah, and I mean that happens sometimes where like publishers all kind of get the same idea around the same time, so they look for the same kind of books, and so these books come out at the same time that are all kind of similar. It happens a lot with like nonfiction. Like you'll suddenly get like 3 books out at the same time about like the history of TB or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
So who knows?
I just can't get over that her last name is Trout or has Trout in it.
I think that's a pretty cool last name.
Yeah, and it's
a
real name. It's real. It's a real name.
Yeah, if it's fake, that makes it worse. But all I keep thinking is like, isn't it that people used to have their last names based on what their job was? So like Smith, like because you were like a blacksmith. Mm-hmm. So do you think these people were just like really into Trout?
No.
I mean, maybe, possibly.
Mara's like, shut the fuck up.
It's like, no, Emma. I do not believe that.
Let's go down this road.
Yeah, I mean, it's potentially possible. It's probably was something in another language first. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, the dedication in this book is to you, the reader.
Which is like the most normal dedication I've seen in a while.
It is.
All right, here we go. So we start out in a tavern, or maybe it's a gaming hall, or maybe it's a whorehouse, with our protagonist, whom we only know as the Maiden at this point. She is playing cards and listening to the men talk about someone being murdered.
So I definitely envision like a Wild West saloon sort of situation, like Someone with a bowler hat and a jaunty mustache is playing the piano in the corner while people drink and play cards and decide which prostitute to take upstairs. Also, it's inexplicably an inn. And also, so in my second reading of this, it took me a long time to realize that the name the Red Pearl is a euphemism for the clitoris.
Which, man, if your pearl is red, you've been going too hard on it.
Yeah.
I did not pick that up.
Yeah, I was like, it took me a long time. I was like, why is this called the Red Pearl? And I kept thinking about it. And then eventually I Googled it and I was like, oh.
I did the same thing. I was like, the Red Pearl, I wonder why. And then my brain was like, girl, it's the clit.
Do you think then the Black Pearl is like a dead clitoris?
Oh, God. No, it's a gothic one.
Yeah, that's what a goth girl has. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like a Wild West saloon, I guess. Like a public house is kind of the same thing. Like there's food and hanging out downstairs, and then rooms upstairs.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that hard until I was trying to write my notes, and I was like, where are we?
Yeah, I think also like the setting for this was initially why it was so hard for me to get into it the first time around.
Well, it is similar to the setting of the other one that we read, Fall of Wrath and Ruin. Ruin and Wrath.
Yeah,
Wrath. One of those.
Ruin and Wrath, faux ra.
Yeah. In that it's like a fantasy world, but you're not quite sure like how to visualize it. Like one of the things, we'll get there eventually, but like they have electricity in this world, but it's still very medieval.
Yes.
Okay. So we are in a kingdom called Solace, right? Solace.
I said Solus.
Solace.
I do too, but
Okay, I'll say Solace.
I can't remember what. You say what you want, girl.
I listened to the audiobook too. I don't remember.
Yeah, who knows? What does it matter?
So the entire kingdom of Solus, the entire kingdom of Solus is enclosed by a wall they call the Rise. It's very, very tall. And then there are smaller walls that enclose various cities and towns. Right now, we are in a region, I believe, called Masadonia.
Yeah, like Macedonia, the country.
Yeah, but spelled differently.
M-A-S-A.
Actually, I think they called it Macedonia.
Did they?
Oh.
I don't know.
Remember that.
I guess I should have paid attention to this.
Here we are recapping it for you. Do we know what we're talking about?
It's a fantasy place. We don't need to pronounce it, right? So the men that she's talking to, or not really talking to, but playing cards with, they are guards on the wall. The wall is what protects them from the Blood Forest, which has a lot of monsters, including something that they call Craven with a capital C. I almost said Craven with a capital K, and that's not right.
That would have been different, yeah.
The maiden isn't supposed to be in this place because she holds special significance for the ruling class. She is always veiled except for the lower half of her face, so no one here knows who she is because she's wearing like a domino mask. A bunch of the women in this establishment are also veiled because, like I said, I think it's just kind of something they're into. So she doesn't stand out. She's not supposed to be there, but she's blending in. Right. And also, she is apparently like an empath. She doesn't use that word, but she can feel the emotions of others and sometimes manipulate them in the sense that she can calm them. I know this is like a huge info dump right now, but this is kind of how the book delivers it to you.
Yeah. This was the first book of hers that I read. I think I started after Emma recommended it to me like 2 years ago. And I quit after the first couple of chapters because like the shit was out of control here with the info dumping. And like for as much info dumping as there was, I was still like, what? Why? Huh? How? Excuse me? Whomst? And that feeling just wasn't abating. So I gave up. And then I was in a country where no one spoke English for 2 weeks and decided to read it again. And when you have nothing else better to do, it went so much better for me. Like, who's the maiden? Why is she here? Why does she know swords? What the fuck is going on? Whatever. Nothing matters.
I read a lot of shit when I lived overseas just because it was in English. Like, I read all of the series of Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, it goes a lot better when you have nothing else better to do. And then once I got past the first, like, quarter of the book, I was like, cool, I can continue with this.
Yeah, I think I read this during COVID sometime since that's when it came out, apparently. Who knows?
Oh, I also read a lot of shit during COVID that probably I enjoyed more at the time than I would now.
Yeah. And I know I'm usually like chugging the haterade when it comes to world building, but I feel like although this is definitely a lot at the beginning, she does a good job of repeating certain elements or like going deeper as you read. So even though you might not remember everything right now, it like starts coming through. And like in contrast, ACOTAR and Fourth Wing mention a character or a detail just once, and then you're supposed to just remember it forever somehow. And then you have Taste of Golden Iron, which has a ton of small details, but not like all in the beginning. They're spread out, but it's like, we're going to tell you every part of the schedule, even though you don't actually need to know it. So I think JLA does throw a lot at you at the beginning. Like, I agree. I think you both have good points. And my sister also felt the same way about From Blood and Ash. She was like, I don't know if I can get through this, guys. So, I don't know. I feel like we all had similar things to say about other books. And, and same with Faux Ra. It had, like, the same problem from Ruin and Wrath. Why can none of us remember what those words are?
Well, I know exactly why I can't remember is because in The Lord of the Rings, there is a poem that Theoden recites at whatever the fuck that battle is in the Two Towers, where what he says in the book is, now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red dawn. They changed it in the movies. I think he says a red nightfall. But yeah, he says now for wrath, now for ruin. So that's what I think of every single time. A note while editing. I got that mixed up. So in the movie, Theoden says now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red dawn. In the book, it was a song composed by Eomer, where he says now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. Sorry, I could not let that stand. But I think it's reversed. It's ruin and wrath.
Yeah, it's ruin and wrath. It doesn't flow off the tongue as well for me as wrath.
No, it does not.
Mm-hmm.
No, I also think it suffers, and I think I complained about this during that episode, which was all of the books are like a blank, and blank, and that makes it really confusing. Anyways, all of this to say is I don't mind the world building style here, and I feel like we're having a real Goldilocks conversation around it.
It is, yeah.
You know?
It's like I require this and that to have.
Yeah.
I believe I say this later, but when I was just reading the book the first time, like listening to the audiobook, I had no issues following along. You have to approach it differently when you're taking the notes for this podcast, where you have to like make sure, is the audience following along it with my summary? Yeah. So that's when I was like, wow, we are really throwing a lot at people right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like I said, the way that you read when you have to do notes for the podcast, I think is not the way the authors intended you to read, because you're looking way too deep into stuff.
Very true.
No, I don't think they're writing so that people can annotate.
No.
Yeah.
We're over here just like, and tell me more about this place where you are. Yeah. Like, is there a piano? Is there not? Like.
Oh, yes. Also important is the empath thing is not normal. Like, nobody else has that power, so she has to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
So she tells us that her name is Penelope, not Penelope.
It's a rough
Penelope of Castle Tierman, kin of the Balfours and the Queen's favorite. On her upcoming 19th birthday, she was going to ascend, which is some sort of ritual nobility do to gain immortality.
It kind of reminds me of a prom.
Expand on that.
This is way more exciting than my prom was.
Oh, I mean, like, think about it. Prom you have at, like, when you're turning 18 or something. Like, usually it's senior prom. And it's like, I was going to say it's a quinceañera, but it's not really like a quinceañera because all of your, like, fellow classmates or, you know, people the same age, so AKA classmates are there. And then you all get dressed up, and then there's, like, you know, the crowning of, like, the prom queen and king, and there's, like, stupid ritual speeches and stuff that happens. And you're going into adulthood. That's like a prom.
You know what it seems like to me, although there's a bit of an age difference here. It's more like a bar or a bat mitzvah. It's like, and now you're something else. You're an adult.
Yeah.
In this case, you're immortal.
Yeah, that's why I was originally thinking like a quinceañera. And then I was like, well. Anyways.
So she is drifting around the building, thinking about how boring and restrictive her life is, about how her adoptive guardian if he finds out that she did this, she will be punished. Will it be better when she's ascended? Her older brother, is ascended, and his letters to her are nice now, but they're kind of impersonal. Also, two things that we need to know about her at this point is that she has a very prominent facial scar and that she is a virgin. I mean, they aren't related, but they do get mentioned back to back.
Yeah, she's kind of a virgin who can't drive. She's got big Cher vibes.
Did you say Cher vibes?
Yeah.
I mean, the difference...
Is Cher a virgin who can't drive?
Do you know what I'm referencing?
No.
You don't know what she's referencing?
No.
You've never seen Clueless?
Oh my God. I thought you were talking about Cher the singer, and I was like, I'm sorry, if anyone exudes amazing car driving and not virgin energy, it's Cher.
Yeah.
Do you believe in life after love?
I was going to say, well, I think the difference there is that I think Penelope really wants to have sex, but she's not allowed to because of her situation where Cher was just being kind of picky. She has an exchange with a woman that makes her wonder why this woman seems to have a distaste for the Duke and the Duchess, her adoptive guardians. She worries that this woman may be a dissenter, one who favors the ruler of Atlantia, which is a kingdom that was not really gobbled up by Macedonia, but kind of like pushed aside, put on the back burner, way over the mountains after this huge war several hundred years ago.
Yeah.
The ruler is only generally referred to as the Dark One. There have been several uprisings recently in support of Atlantia, or at the very least against the ruling class of Macedonia.
Atlantia is a name wound up really annoying me after a while because, like, there's Atalanta, there's Atlanta, there's Atlantis. Those are three things that I have to know exist in my mind. And now she wants me to add Atlantia to the list. And I was just like, there's too many Atlantis type names. And I had like a minor breakdown.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the names of the places in this book because they sound really familiar to like real places. And also, this one has nothing to do with water, and it just immediately makes me think of Atlantis. But I do think because they're familiar, it makes them easier to remember. Like, can you guys name any of the islands that Violet goes to in Onyx Storm? Because I know I can't.
No, I cannot. But I did not remember any of these names either. It was only on the second reading. I was like, oh, yeah, these were silly.
Yeah, I will say that... doing the notes for this, no spell check recognized Atlantia as a word. It's like, do you mean Atlantis? Do you mean Atlanta?
Nope.
But honestly, I kind of thought these names were fun because so many places on the map in the book were a weird nod towards the ancient Mediterranean. Like there was Atlantia, the Elysium Peaks, Pompeii, Stygian Bay, Cliffs of Ione, Aegea, and the mountains of Nyctos.
Just... You wait, Tabitha. If we continue reading this series.
So then, as she's wandering around thinking about stuff, she sees Victor walk in. This is a member of the Royal Guard who taught her how to fight, which is some sort of violation of stuff that she's allowed to know, so it's a secret, and is also like a father figure to her. So she's like, oh God, he's here for the whores, and then she runs away.
Yeah, which I totally get because one time I was at a bar with my brother and he was so wasted, like maybe the most wasted I've ever seen him. And I was like, we were just chatting and he was like, I'm going to go talk to that hottie over there. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Don't ever say that to me again. Bye.
Yeah.
And then I walked home in the dark.
Yeah.
That's how much I needed to get away from that.
There was one time where I had to go pick up my dad and his two friends from his birthday party. They went, oh, it wasn't a party. They just went out and got drunk at a bar. And like, I had to like herd these three drunk men out of an establishment. My dad was fine. He's not a lech or anything, but like his two friends were single. And I was just like, I need you to stop talking to the young women so I can get you out of here. You're both in your 60s and this is gross. So yeah, I felt this pretty hard.
So the woman that she's talking to whisks her upstairs and tells her which room she can hide in. She goes into the room, closes the door, and like listens to see if she can hear anybody. But then she hears a male voice in the room say, "This is unexpected," and he puts an arm around her. I listened to the graphic audio of this before I read it, And the guy who did this character's voice is very good. And I know both of you disagree with me.
So I have listened partially to both the graphic audio and the regular audiobook. And it's interesting because, like, the graphic audio, he is very, like, British, haughty, aristocratic sounding. And it's the same way in the normal audiobook too. The woman who reads it is also sounding a little bit British and aristocratic, which for me personally is damning unless I've chosen to read about posh British aristocracy. And also it's a good giveaway that he's not some humble farmer's son or whatever working a thankless job that will end in his early death. Like, dude is supposed to be good at hiding, and here he is, like, swanning around with this "I'm too good for you" accent.
So what do you want? Do you want, like, a Cockney accent? What's all this then?
I don't want any accent at all that has to do with the British Isles.
Well,
that's what
that's
I
not
wanted.
realistic, because all of these books are set in, like, faux England.
No
Yeah.
British accents.
I listened to the graphic audio on this read through, and it wasn't him as the actor that bothered me. It was just like the accent at first was just like so haughty. It was almost aggressive. And I really think what bothered me is a couple of times when he was speaking, he sounded like Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3.
Also a great
and
voice.
Like, yeah, I mean, listen.
Don't come at her with that.
Listen. That's why Tabitha liked it. I'm just
know,
kidding.
I know.
I mean, I romanced Astarion in the game, so, like, obviously I got over it. And, like, later, after, it was just, like, the initial jarring experience of, like, whoa, I didn't realize, like, this is where we were at here. I got over it because he was whispering in Poppy's ear, and I was like, oh, Hawke, please continue on, my guy.
No, I never got over it. But the thing also, I dropped the graphic audio after a while and just listened to the regular one. And the other thing about it is, like, when you have a woman doing a haughty British accent like that for a man, for me, my brain immediately goes to that this man is an elderly fellow who wears, like, a monocle. And I don't know, that's a me problem. I realize that. But it really was just, like, messing with my head.
This was, like, the only graphic audio I enjoyed. Usually I cannot listen to them because everyone sounds like an anime character. But this one I was a big fan of.
I feel like that's what I want out of romantasy. Like, make it silly for me. I with accents like that, I mostly tend to think of a fop, and you know I've said this before, is I like my women masculine and I like my men effeminate. So
Tabitha wants a tall, lengthy, skinny boy with blonde hair, the whitest it can be.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't,
and a real limp wrist.
I just want to also I just want to look at them. I don't actually want them.
Yeah.
I don't let men in my house.
No, of course not. But I think we're actually missing the real man in this book, in the graphic audio, with the most amazing voice. The man who did Victor's voice.
I was going to say, do you like Victor? His was a lot more grumbly.
Oh, it was so good. It reminded me of Beauty and the Beast, like Beast's voice before he turns human and he's like a wimp.
I believe we've talked about this before, but I believe we are all women who were disappointed when the Beast turned human.
Yeah.
So disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can still remember seeing that movie in the theater when I was like 7. Mm-hmm. and the feeling of disappointment that I felt. I was oh, that's it.
Yeah, all of us were super young at the time. I know when that happened, and we all collectively had that moment where we're just like, we are so young, and we already know that this is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
already monster fuckers.
It's like, we want brown hair for one thing, and we don't want any of this blonde nonsense. And why is he so smooth?
Well, he was way too smooth. They needed to at least give him a beard.
Yeah, or like some chest hair.
Yeah, it was too jarring to go from the Beast to that.
Exactly. Like,
also,
how long
why
had
was
he
he
lived
like blonde?
Yes, and why was he blonde and he was brown as a beast?
Also, he wasn't even very good blonde. Like, he wasn't like a white blonde.
No,
he was like a copper blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like mousy brown.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kidding.
Look at my hair. That's what it was. And I'm like,
he basically became
most
Maura. And we were all like,
ugh. No, well, it is. It's disappointing color. No one likes that hair.
No, I like it. It looks good on you.
All right, so She turns around and she sees that it is Hawke Flynn.
Oh my God, taking a page right out of Ryder Flynn's Fake Names for Scoundrels guidebook.
Yeah, that is a clearly fake name. Also, my phone or my notes-taking app really did not like this spelling of Hawke. I kept trying to change it.
I'm sorry.
What was that? It was like ghosts.
How she's being kidnapped by a ghost.
Yeah.
I opened my phone.
It was like the screaming of tormented souls.
And I clicked on a
opened up
link
in her
that my
room.
sister sent me, and I didn't realize it was a song. I thought it was like a website. I'm sorry. We're recording this remotely, and I forgot my camera at the office, and the computer I have doesn't have a camera built into it. So I'm like a black screen just rumbling in the background, and I have to narrate everything that I'm doing to them.
Yeah, she's making a series of very, very inscrutable noises.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hawke Flynn is the new wall guard, and one that everyone in the palace fortress thinks is super hot. He's very tall with dark hair, which seems to be what girls who read these books want.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't want blonde. What are you talking about?
Yeah. She does point out to us, though, that every time she reaches out with her powers, she can tell that he is in great emotional pain. Like every time she's like felt him around the palace, she can tell he's in pain.
Felt him around the palace. Sorry. Real men cry.
Yeah.
They do.
He's allowed to be
Yeah.
sad.
He can be sad.
She also notes that she gets no emotional readings from the Ascended at all. Like any of them ever. They're just like dead almost, sort of.
Immortality will fuck you
Weird.
up.
Yeah, strange. So Hawke clearly thinks that she is someone else at this point because, she's got the mask on. And he strips off his top, pushes her onto the bed, and kisses her. At that point, he's like, oh, who the fuck are you? So they banter. She won't tell him her name, and he seems to be amused by the whole thing. He keeps calling her princess.
Adorable.
They chat about the gods. She thinks about being unworthy of the gods. He touches her boobs and then pressures her to take off the veil. All just together like that. But then he finds the knife that she has strapped to her. It's uniquely constructed of bloodstone and woven bone, which is something you would make when you were planning to kill monsters. So he's very intrigued by this because she's, clearly like an upper class woman. He pins her to the bed again, and then there's a knock at the door. It is someone asking to speak with Hawke. So he makes Penelope swear that she'll stay until he comes back. She swears to him, and then she fucking bounces immediately.
Yeah. So, okay. One of the reasons I also initially bounced from this book was the weird sexy scene, because I was still in the throes of what, wait, why? And then sex was thrown at me, and I just got upset. It was like, what the fuck is happening right now? My tolerance
This did not faze me at all.
Oh my God.
No,
I know,
me
right?
either.
The second, granted, this was 2 years ago when I wrote it. I was in a different emotional state at the time, and I didn't understand how the romantasy genre worked all that well. So it wouldn't faze me now at all. But
Yeah,
at the time,
I mean, look at how okay we were with her other book that we did and all the fingering.
right? I know. I was just like, whatever. She's getting fingered
know.
in chapter 3. It's fine.
Were we okay with all that fingering? I distinctly remember us yelling about her being fingered at the table and Tabitha going, if any of you do that in front of me, I'll never talk to you again.
And we were like, why would we do that anyway?
Yeah, just a warning.
No, yeah.
So, I don't know, my tolerance for all this was super low at the time. And I think the book pushed up Hawke's introduction and did it this way, because otherwise he is introduced a second time, eons from here, it seems.
Yeah.
And I would have gotten bored. It was like I had a big Kingfisher and Quicksilver type vibe where you're just like, who is the love interest at this moment in
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
I need someone to show me who this person is. And it's like, it's him. Obviously, it's him. He's licking her breasts in chapter 2. And so...
That's true. And this one, we never get any impression it's anyone else.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
him.
There's no other setup for anyone.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's at least clear and straightforward.
Yeah, it is. It's clear and straightforward, which I appreciate now. At the time, 2 years ago, I was like, what is happening? Why? So anyway, that was just a me 2 years ago problem.
Yeah. I like that Hawke's introduction is early. I mean, I think it kind of, the book's not really set up this way, but it could like play into the quote unquote mystery elements that like happen in this book.
No, I think you're right. It does play into the mystery elements as to who he
Yeah.
is and like why is he here?
Yeah.
All that stuff.
I've read this quite a few times, like accidentally every year since it come out somehow.
Oh, I have certain books that I reread every year. I consider it like watching a TV series again.
It's not on purpose, though. It's like, oh, what should I read? And then I'm like, oh, I own this. I'll just read it again. I don't remember what happens. I mean, I do, but I don't. But I was really enjoying how everything was, like, tied together. I know these sexy elements aren't, like, kosher because there's not really any consent happening here. And not really, I mean, there's no consent happening here. But I don't know. So many of the hetero love interests, like, fondle the virgin way before they're an item. So,
I mean, I don't want to, like, defend him. But I do feel like if she said no in this scene, he'd stop.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like I think a lot of this is setting up the fact that she does want this sort of thing, but she knows she doesn't can't have it.
Want to be a virgin who can't drive.
Right.
She just wants to be a person who can't drive.
She wants to be able to drive. She knows she shouldn't, though.
Yeah, she is very horny and repressed, and she knows it.
Yeah. Girl, me too.
Next morning, her lady-in-waiting, Tawny, asks what she did last night. Poppy tries to deflect. This is where I switched to calling her Poppy because that is what everybody calls her, and Penelope is hard to say. So Poppy tries to deflect. She says she just had nightmares and was walking, and Tawny is like, you totally snuck out, didn't you? Also, in detailing how she snuck out through an ancient unknown servant entrance, she says that's why she likes to live in the old part of the castle, even though it doesn't have electricity. So adjust your view of this medieval fantasy world for electricity.
Yeah, JLA seems to have a thing for modern conveniences, but with swords and horses, and I kind of like it. It's a weird kind of fantasy-esque, but maybe not type of world.
I just want to know how it works.
Me too. I know. It's like you're telling me that an electrical grid exists here. Like how?
Right,
how are you generating electricity?
A mill. I don't know. Only the rich people have electricity, though. Keep that in mind.
Yes,
yeah, that's
this
true.
is true. Mm-hmm.
Her and Tawny giggle about sneaking out, but she doesn't tell her about Hawke. They talk about Poppy ascending soon and what it will mean afterwards. Tawny will basically be free of being her shadow and is excited, but Poppy is nervous about the whole thing because it is so shrouded in mystery. Later that night, Victor comes to her room and tells her that she needs to come with him. There is another cursed with a capital C. They sneak to a lower ward of the city and enter a home where a woman's husband is actively dying.
Yeah. Also, this is like a secret thing, and neither of them are supposed to be doing this. Like, it's treasonous for Victor to help anyone, like any cursed person, but it's like even worse for Poppy to be helping because she's basically like the Virgin Mother Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can I just pause briefly? Is it ever explained what the point is of the maiden?
Yeah, Emma, is it ever explained?
Not in this book.
Okay.
Not in this book. Okay, good.
Not in this
Because
book.
I feel like I was having some sort of like meltdown. I couldn't figure it out.
It's weird because it seems like it's like a ceremonial position.
Yeah.
It's like this like person who has to maintain some sort of purity for your like fucking race or class or something. She's like a figurehead.
Yeah.
And like if she becomes tainted, it means the whole system is tainted, but I don't know the actual point and like what the plan is for her, again, because this is stuff that's not addressed in this book.
Yeah, or how it was her who was like earmarked as the maiden. Like, is this something that is like a genetic thing, or is there like a mark on her, or is like how did they determine that she's the one, and what's her whole purpose? And
is it because
I'm not gonna
is it because of the empathy?
Ooh.
No. Well, kind of. So it's because she didn't get turned when she got bit by the Craven. That's how she got picked. As the maiden.
I thought she just got scratched up. I didn't realize she got bit.
No, if you get scratched or bit by them at all, you basically
okay.
turn.
I thought you had to get bit.
Okay.
No, like
Okay.
this guy that they're healing, I'm pretty sure he actually just has like a scratch. Like I mean, it's pretty deep, but yeah. So
I see.
Okay. Well,
Wow,
to be
that was
addressed.
so easy. You said that so quickly and coherently and concisely, and it's almost as if she could have put it in this book.
No. It's got to be secret
No.
till the next book.
yeah, there can only be one mystery for a book.
Yes.
And this mystery is who is Hawke.
Yes. The wife says that he was a huntsman on the wall who came back sick and that she didn't know if this underground die with dignity thing was real, because normally they will just haul the infected humans out of the houses and burn them alive in front of everyone as like an example of like, don't get bit.
Yeah.
Poppy uses her power to ease a bit of the woman's emotional pain, and the woman is like, oh my God, it's you with the gift. We finally get kind of a clearer picture of what is happening here. So this guy was bitten by a craven, or maybe just scratched, as Emma says, which, let's be real, it's a vampire. Like, I'm not revealing anything saying that. It's a vampire. No. It's not a hot one, but it's like a feral animalistic one.
It's a gross one.
Yeah, it's a gross one. I describe it later. And if they don't kill this guy, then he will turn into one of those gross feral vampires. These are some of the creatures that live in the blood forest, but sometimes there's this like mist that comes down, and the monsters come down with the mist. Mm-hmm. Also, she tells us that the Atlanteans were the one who created the Craven. Mm. She takes off the veil and tells this guy her name, and he kind of realizes what is happening. She's there to give him, a good death. He warns her that someone else got bit too, and she stabs him real good. So he's dead. And then her and Victor check up and make sure that the other one is taken care of too.
Also, never forget that they are trying to subtly figure out if there's a kid in this house, and it is confirmed by the presence of hot cocoa.
Yeah. She also takes his pain away before killing him. So, she didn't just, brutally murder him before.
I wonder where in
stabbing him real good.
I wonder where in this world they grow and manufacture cocoa beans.
Yeah, along with electricity. How do you manufacture any of this?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have a at least semi-tropical place for cocoa beans.
Oh my God, here we are so deep in the wilderness yet again. Where are the cocoa beans coming from? Fictional Africa?
Yeah, right. So Victor is like, don't use your powers like that. And Poppy is like, she's just in so much pain. He laments, Victor, that she's a part of this secret operation and accuses her of wanting to get caught. He's got big dad energy. She's like, why the fuck did you train me to fight? And then he's like, practicality?
Yeah, this reminds me of my dad used to tell me to stop yelling. I'm just a loud person by nature. I just talk very loudly. I laugh really loudly. It's kind of embarrassing at times. And he's always like, shh, shh. And I'm like, listen, do you not remember teaching me how to speak from my diaphragm? You basically told me that I should always be loud. And so I'm not even yelling right now. I'm just talking. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that for therapy.
Yeah, that's a therapy thing, because I've been told that I get too loud too when I get too excited about things, and that's really just a subtle, we don't want to hear you talking.
I was runner up for loudest in my school. And then it was very helpful when I was a teacher.
She spends some more time stressing and wondering if she is trying to sabotage her own ascension. She wants to go to the Queen's Garden to see the night blooming roses, as she does most nights. She heads across the palace, palace/fortress, right? That's what I refer to it as. Okay.
Yeah, it was hard for me to really determine how any of this looked or worked, because if it's one big rise around the whole country or whatever, and then multiple smaller rises around other areas, and she's in this one little fortress with I'm assuming a little village or whatever around it that has the rise, I'm assuming, on the other side of the village. The village is protected, correct?
Yeah, I imagine it kind of like a medieval
village.
Yeah, like Milan or something.
Right. A walled city.
Yeah, and it's a palace because it's where all the nobility lives, including there's a court. But it definitely can be locked down in the event that monsters attack. So palace/fortress. So she heads across the palace with her night guard, Rylan, who knows this routine. Then she gets waylaid by Lord Brandol Mazine, who is a full bursting bag of dicks. She thinks of him as a bully, but really he's just a predator.
Oh, the worst.
He's so evil. Just like a real skis ball.
Yeah. Mazine says he wants to talk to her in private. Then when alone is just a weird perv to her. He's like, oh, I've missed you. Why aren't you being nicer? Should I tell the Duke that you need another lesson? Which we'll talk about those fucking lessons in a bit. And then he kind of feels her up and licks her. And then luckily someone screams.
Yeah. So a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. So grateful for the distraction, Poppy runs out and finds the servant who screamed, who points her into a room. In there was a dead woman with 2 puncture marks.
And where were those puncture marks?
I don't remember. Where were those puncture marks?
They're on her neck.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to say something like they're on her thigh or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going with.
I'm like,
I was like, did I forget that?
It's just like, what's scandalous about this, Emma?
No, I feel like the whole book is like, oh, there are these things out there and they eat people and they suck people's blood. Wonder what they could be.
Yeah.
Oh, this person got bit. Oh, I wonder what it is.
And they become this monster. What
very obviously vampires.
They're edging us with vampires. That's what's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Back in her rooms, they discuss if this was a craven, like, because how could one of them get so far in? There were 2 punctures, but not like a craven, who tend to, feed more fairly. And for some reason, the Duke insists it is a dissenter, but no one is found within the castle keep. Poppy thinks that idea is stupid, that it's not a dissenter. And then they say, well, it might have been an Atlantean, which I don't want to spoil that whole thing yet. So we'll get to that, what's going on there. She reads a little history about Atlanteans and Wolven and then notes, quote, for a true Atlantean, 2 upper canines will form fangs, becoming elongated and sharpened, but they will not be overly noticeable to the untrained eye. So, like, come the fuck on.
Yeah, I mean, they already kind of spoiled Hawke in his introduction with the, like, when she's kissing him, she's like, he has oddly sharp ... And I'm like, teeth maybe.
Yeah.
The teeth like only descend when they're going to feed for the Atlanteans. So picture like Henry Cavill's teeth normally, and then like their actual vampire teeth when they're about to like slurp someone up.
You know what Henry Cavill's teeth look like?
Yeah, I had a phase.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Huh. He's tall. He's got like a deep, gravelly voice. He's huge. Yeah.
Guess the only time I've ever found him attractive.
When he was the Witcher.
Yeah. Yes, with the white hair.
Yeah. It's like, you don't even, I don't need to guess.
Okay, but when he's like running through that oil rig as Superman and he's like sweaty and hairy and has that beard and his shirt gets like burned off, and look it up right now because it's hot.
I didn't watch those movies. My apologies.
I'm looking it up right now.
What would you say a Superman oil rig?
We're first going to do his teeth. See? Look at them.
Oh, yeah, he
Look
does
at those
have
canines.
He does have pretty pointy teeth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then Superman shirtless. Whoops, wrong one. This one. Look at that boy.
All right.
Look at him. Come on. I don't know what's happening on my page right now, but look at it. Okay. His pants are shredded. He's sweaty. He's got hairy tits.
I recently watched the Guy Ritchie movie he's in, the something Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Oh, and was it good?
I enjoyed it. I like Guy Ritchie movies most of the time. I was watching it, and I was watching him act, and I thought, it's really unfair that this man is both conventionally attractive and a pretty good actor. Like, you normally expect one or the other.
He's kind of like a grade A creep.
Oh yeah,
we'll say
is.
Like a B- creep. He like dated us.
I was gonna say I wasn't gonna say that because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, he is a creep. He also said some stuff about how like you can't even flirt with women anymore during the Me Too movement.
I know. Yeah. Just like not the time.
Yeah,
that's why I'm not into him anymore.
Like I said, you can think he's nice to look at, but
he's beautiful to look at. None of us have to know him personally, which is a great thing for us.
Yep.
No,
like I said, I prefer to think of him as not an entity and just Geralt instead.
He's just the Witcher, and that's all we need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now there's that new Witcher.
Well, we're pretending that doesn't.
That.
Yeah,
that's not a thing.
Yeah, that's just Gale. Then we learn that cravens are made by being bitten by an Atlantean. this is kind of the entire story here, what I'm about to say. But at this point, Poppy is totally lost in the sauce of thinking that her side is the good guys and that the Atlanteans are pure evil. That's why she's willing to believe these things that she was always told.
Yeah, it's a real who's the actual baddie story.
Yeah.
Yep.
So back in the murder room, she wants to know more because, she's bored as shit with her life. So she inspects and she finds a single jasmine petal.
At some point, she puts this petal in an arrangement of other flowers. And girl, jasmine flowers are small, right? Like a single petal is maybe smaller than my pinky nail.
Yeah, they are pretty small.
Right? They're little.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing putting this tiny petal in her arrangement? I was just very confused.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say it's weird that she even knows it's jasmine, but even jasmine petals have a really distinct smell.
They're very strong. Yeah.
So the next day, Rylan asks if she wants to go to the garden since things seem to be safe now, which I don't know about that.
Super safe. The safest they've ever been with a murderer running loose. Don't you feel safe?
So they get to the garden in time to see the black roses blooming. Side note, I was a florist for quite a while, and any request for black roses was a fucking ordeal because, somebody with a goth girlfriend would want black roses. But those don't exist. Like, breeders have been trying to grow them for years, and they just don't exist unless you dye them. And if you dye roses like that, they tend to look like shit. So your best bet is to take a dark, dark rose and then tip it black. Like, I would recommend the Variety Explorer by the brand Rio.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyway, then Rylan gets shot in the chest with an arrow.
But it was so safe.
So he tells her to run and is dead like real fast. And she kind of freezes.
Well, she's like never been in a real emergency before. Like, she just played swords, so I get it. Her fight, and freeze was not up to snuff. Also, I feel very insufferable, not just because I'm not on my meds, so I'm like just spewing nonsense all the time. But also, I feel like the last 3 episodes I've just been filled with an IV of haterade, and then this one I'm like, Poppy is amazing. She can do no wrong. So
I like it. I mean, I don't know about the unmedicated part, but like you're so knowledgeable, and
thank you.
Besides, at least one of us needs to know what we're doing per episode. Otherwise, it's more chaotic than usual.
Yeah, and I'm not judging her. Freezing is a totally valid response in this situation.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she's just standing there, and like her guard just got like immediately
killed,
taken out. So like, of course you'd freeze. That's normal.
Yeah.
I've never even seen a dead person, so I'm sure it would freeze.
Oh God.
So a man comes up to her at this point and tells her that she needs to shut up and come with him. This is when she gets her back to herself, and she stabs him when he isn't looking. It doesn't kill him, but he snarls kind of inhumanly and calls her a bitch, which I just find such a man thing to do. Like, you're actively kidnapping her, but she's the bitch. And then he
fight back. What?
Yeah. But then he punches her as she stabs him again.
Yeah. Well, men are just terrible everywhere in any world. So
are.
Yep. Even in fantasy ones.
So they have a standoff where he says someone else didn't want her hurt, but that he's going to kill her. And then there's a sharp whistle in the distance that makes the guy kind of furiously back off and leave.
Like a well-trained dog.
Yeah. Poppy takes a minute to get her shit together because no one can know that she fought off the murderer herself. But then guards plus Victor come running out because they heard noise, and she's covered in, I think what she passes off is Rylan's blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
While she is being seen to by the healers, the Duchess grills everyone about the incident. She tells them to cut down the trees that compromise the wall. She needs to tell the Queen. And then she talks shit about Rylan. Victor joins in the shit talking, which upsets Poppy, who was, thought he was nice. Then he shares that the arrow that Rylan was shot with was marked with the promise of the Dark One, which is, quote, "From blood and ash we shall rise." The name of the book. So it is the Dissenters.
Yeah, but like, how was it marked? Like, did they carve it into the wooden part of the arrow, or like tie a ribbon around it with the message attacked? Or maybe it's like those planes that fly over the beach with messages trailing behind them. Like, what an emasculating way to be shot.
I assume they carved it into the wooden part.
With like one of those, they burned it in with like a little etcher.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got a wood burning kit
With like really nice handwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in script.
Yeah, definitely script.
So the Duchess says that they have reason to believe it was an Atlantean, and that Poppy may get summoned to the capital by the Queen for like safety since it's further into their kingdom. Poppy heads back to her rooms with Tawny and Victor. She argues with him about attending Ryland's funeral because nobility does not attend services for plebes. But she insists and knows that it will make the Duke angry. She bathes and eyeballs her scar while thinking about her parents. Her mom was a lady-in-waiting for the Queen and refused the ascension because she married a commoner and had kids. But then they were killed in a craven attack that gave Poppy all of her scars. So that's why she hates Atlanteans so much. That is everything she's been told about the situation. In the morning, Poppy and Victor go to the funeral. Victor needs to do some funeral-y stuff like lighting the pyre and whatnot, but he can't leave Poppy alone. So who offers to watch her but Hawke Flynn?
Yeah, he just strolls up, whipping around his blue-black hair and sounding aristocratic. But surely he couldn't be more important than he lets on. Surely. He's just a lowly farmer's son.
Mm-hmm. So she tries to remember that she's at a funeral and not Ogle Hawke, who sees her bruise and says, quote, "You are hurt. You can be assured that will never happen again," end quote. You know, like a liar.
Yeah, but like a protective liar. So like, I swooned.
A while later, she is sparring with Victor, super cash. He tries to ask if that guy who watched her at the funeral will be taking Ryland's place. And he's like, don't even think about it. Also, your little escapes need to stop. They are assembled in the Great Hall for people to, this is, I don't know, like later next day. I tried really hard to figure out like how many days this all was, but I don't know. It's just later. Everyone's assembled in the Great Hall for people to come in and petition the rulers. And Poppy is there for aesthetics. Remember, she's not allowed to do anything but be a figurehead.
Yeah, she stands around. She looks pretty.
Yeah.
What they can see of her.
Yeah. She notices Hawke staring at her across the room, and everything is low lit here because the Ascended only move around in darkness.
Despite the fact that they're rich and have electricity.
Yes.
They seemingly never use it. They only have oil lamps and stuff.
You know, the aesthetic.
Yeah.
So a couple approaches to speak holding their new baby. They explain that their first two children died relatively recently and ask for clemency regarding the third. We learn that in this kingdom, all third-born children are given to serve in the state religion, basically, in various roles. But the dedication means that they can never return to their families ever.
Never to be seen again, which super sus, let's just say.
Mm-hmm. So the Duke and Duchess are like, no, sorry, but this is what the gods command. Poppy is pretty upset over this whole scene. It's very sad, and notices that Hawke seems angry as well. She thinks the crowd of non-ascended, again, plebes, generally seem disgusted as well.
So realistically, there's got to be like a crazy black market for babies, right? Like if you can only keep your two oldest kids and the others are assured to disappear from your life as infants, then people have got to be moving kids around all the time, I would assume. Because surely people are like, it's super weird that these kids are never seen again, right? Super strange. Also, where are these babies going exactly? Who's raising them? What does in service to the gods mean? I understand that the Ascended have like worked really hard to create a rigid religious culture that is difficult to question without repercussions, but people are going to people, correct? Like logically, at least, someone has thought they're sacrificing these babies, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's a black market just because like the roads between the towns are too dangerous because of the woods and Craven, etc. So they would need like the ranger guys to help them, and they barely make it back. Plus, it seems like the peasants, quote unquote, are split on the third child thing. Like I remember in this scene that the crowd was definitely like mad at the Duke and Duchess, like a portion of them, but also a good portion were like disgusted by the family for even asking for an exception. So the story in here is like that they're raised by the priestesses or whatever the fuck they're called. And as Tabitha said, they work for the religion. So like, who knows what that actually means, but there's so much like dumb garb and decoration and relics that like need to be crafted and upkept for religion. So maybe they do that. Like, picture all the fits that the Pope wears. Remember when we found that Pope John or whatever paper doll book with all his cunty little fits? Like, he had a fucking feather headdress for Carnival. Like, maybe they're using these kids' like little fingers to create lace for Poppy's veils, you know?
So I don't think there is a black market. I mean, just that I think there should be one. Like then again, I had a hard time discerning how big this population is. So what do I know?
Yeah.
I do agree. I do think that there would be a lot of child smuggling both into and out of the kingdom. Like, parents would want their kids out, but then parents would want other kids to replace the kids that were taken. Especially, you know, without modern medicine, a bunch of those kids would be dying.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you start like family planning for a population, the population will find ways around it.
Yeah.
And like I just like, if you look at China's one child policy or whatever, like not everybody was only having one kid. They were just smuggling kids in and out constantly.
Yeah.
We definitely don't learn enough about the peasants in this book. No. I mean, or really in any book, because everyone in these books are marrying the rich people because
that's just
money
what you
is
do
power.
in books.
Yeah, that's definitely the trope in romantasy, is that everybody is nobility or becomes nobility.
Yep.
Later, she is summoned to the Duke and Duchess. They talk about security issues. They accidentally they don't care. They call Ryland Ryan, and they tell her that new guy in town, Hawke, has been assigned to her. Then they tell her to remove her veil so that Hawke can know her face and not be distracted by it later on. She hesitates, and the Duke snaps at her. We get another hint that the Duke punishes her somehow. More on that later. She takes off the headdress and veil, and the Duke talks shit about her scarred face. Hawke says that the whole face is beautiful and then swears himself to her. Specifically to her name, not to the maiden.
And so when, like, despite, again, as I said, my initial reaction to Hawke's, like, accent here, I was into him. Good work, sir. I salute you.
I liked it when I wasn't listening to it.
No, I like that floppy little boy. When they get back to her rooms, Tawny is like, Hawke is hot, and why are you being weird? She confesses that they kissed at the Red Pearl the night she snuck out. They wonder whether or not he recognized her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this universe also operates under the Superman glasses phenomena, where if you're wearing a mask, you just aren't who you were before.
You just don't know anybody. It's confusing, right? But, like, what is the deal with JLA and her domino masks? Can we, like, hypothesize? Like, is this a Phantom of the Opera obsession taken to its natural conclusion? Like, what is going on here?
If I know two things about this woman, is that she likes masks and group sex.
Yeah, the two things together, even better.
A woman after my own heart.
We know what Emma does on her.
I've never had group sex, and I've also never really worn a mask, like, over my eyes, I should say.
The next day, Poppy and Tawny are sitting in the atrium when two women from the court come in to chat and make eyes at Hawke. Then they start gossiping about him, saying that he was seen at the Red Pearl. Poppy isn't, like, allowed to fraternize with anybody, so she's not allowed to say anything. Then they giggle about Willa Collins, which is an extremely racy memoirist from, like, 200 years ago. She thinks about asking Tawny to sneak it from the library for her, and then she thinks about having sex with Hawke. Then she kind of comes back into the conversation when they start talking about Prince Castile, the cruel ruler of the Atlanteans, the one they call the Dark One. They are saying that he has been seen nearby and may be responsible for the burning of some other ascendant's estate. But, like, no one actually knows what he looks like. One of the women says, wouldn't it be exciting if he was here? And finally, Poppy says, you want to see the citizens of our kingdom murdered? That's fun for you? The two women apologize and hustle away, but not before Poppy gets an unprompted emotional read from one of them. Excitement and fear. Tawny begins to ask Poppy what she's planning to do about Hawke, i.e. him not knowing it was her who made out with him. Hawke and Tawny have some fun banter, and then he's like, also, I need to escort you to see the Duke. Both of the women go still, and Tawny says she will wait for Poppy in her quarters. As they walk, Hawke notes that both her and her maid seemed upset by this summons. Poppy snaps that Tawny isn't a maid. Hawke seems startled to hear her speak, but then he goes back to low-key making fun of her in a way all these fucking men in these stories do. When they get to the Duke's quarters, Hawke says he will wait for her outside.
Yeah. Like, true. Their jokes are at her expense. But as I've said before, my preferred method of flirting is just some light roasting. And, like, if you can't handle how funny I am, you can't stay. Which, as I've also said, is one of the many reasons why it's just me and my cat.
So, like, I feel like his making fun of her is more along the lines of prodding at her shelteredness, which I think that's a word. I don't know. But that said, I think JLA is using this banter as a way to get Poppy to continually question her role and get her to take those steps towards refusing, like, the whole thing and come to terms with how her society is functioning. So it's like very talk heavy in this book right now, actually, at least in this first half. Like, there's a lot of like banter and discussions and like, let's look at this critically, Poppy. Why are you not able to do that?
All of their flirting / teasing is very standard for romantasy. I just personally could never be into a guy who thought he could make fun of me before really knowing me. But, you know, then again, I could never really be into a guy full stop.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, like the whole I barely know you and I'm going to start making fun of you immediately.
And again, it's like I keep telling you guys, I like am Liz Lemon deal breaker. Everything is a deal breaker for me.
If a man is involved, it's a deal breaker.
Yeah. So she goes in and sees not only the Duke, but Lord Mazine. The Duke tells Poppy that he is disappointed in her. Okay, whatever. So let's just put the tiger on the table and yell at it.
Yes, please.
The Duke and Mazine are both sexual sadists, and for years, the Duke has been privately humiliating and physically abusing Poppy. Specifically, he whips / canes her for her misbehavior. I could have done without this side quest in this book, honestly. He makes her take off her veil and then calls her beautiful, except for her gross scar.
Yeah, he calls her a nightmare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then they make fun of how the new guard, Hawke, said she was beautiful. A quote from the book. Quote, "You do have such pretty eyes." He removed his fingers from the scars and pressed one to my lower lip. And a well-formed mouth. He paused, and I swore I could feel his gaze lower and linger. "Most will find your body pleasing." End quote.
Yeah, on every read-through, I find this scene very jarring. Like, yeah, Lord Mazine was, like, a skeezy, gross person. But this was, like, a whole nother level. But I think it's just one of the first reveals that these people are actually horribly evil. Like, worse than you'd think. And remember, I've, like, read this book many times. But I've actually only read the first 3. I didn't finish the series because there's, like, 1,100 books in it. So maybe one day I'll finish.
He finally tells her why she's in trouble. It is mostly for avoiding religion lessons and fraternizing with those 2 ladies in the atrium that she barely spoke to. Then he's like, you're too close to your lady's maid. As the maiden, you need to be above such things. The Duke keeps talking shit, saying that her parents died because she was the maiden, so how can she be so defiant about everything? Then he calls Rylan Ryan again, and she finally stops being demure and snaps at him. The Duke is like, whatever, he's dead, and was probably honored I thought of him at all. Then he says, okay, horny punishment, time with the teen. How about 4 lashes? And Poppy, in a show of self-sabotaging rage, is like, oh, wow, are you sure that's enough for an evil bitch like me? And he's like, okay, 7 lashes. He tells her to get into position. Position is, get this, topless and leaning over his desk, ass out. I mean, like, he whips her back, not her ass, but the angle puts it right there.
Yeah.
The Duke is disgustingly eager, and Poppy, once again, thinks about what she could do. She could kick his ass, but then what? More pervy punishment? Write the queen in the Capitol and tell her this is happening? All of her letters get reported and, read by people. He tells Poppy that this overtly sensual whipping is for her own good. A quote from as she is being caned. Quote, I stared through the haze of tears at the painting of the veiled worshippers, wondering how horrible the Atlanteans must have been for men like the Duke of Macedonia and Lord Mazine to receive a blessing of ascension from the gods, end quote.
Yeah, so with the position that she's in, like, she's covering her boobs with one hand, and she's got another hand on the desk to keep herself up. And then Mazine, like, intentionally gets up and makes her stop covering herself, so it put an added layer of confusion on what it means for Poppy to be this untouchable maiden, right? Except she can be abused in this game of sexual sadism. Think nothing of it. And I realize life is confusing and people contain multitudes, but I was, and I guess still am, deeply confused about Poppy's position as this important religious figurehead who can also be deeply sexually traumatized this way.
I mean, this sounds exactly what I think of with, like, hardcore evangelical Christian cults. Like, you have to maintain the purity of your woman, but also, like, molest them their entire lives.
It's like you can do whatever you want to them, but their maidenness is so important. No one can touch them except for you, just not in this way. And I'm like, oh God, you guys are so awful. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess this is weirdly realistic.
Unfortunately. All right, so when all is done and Poppy leaves, it is Victor, not Hawke, waiting for her. He says that Hawke asked him what was up with Tawny and Poppy looking nervous to be summoned, and Victor was like, nothing at all, no problems. I'll take your maiden shift for the rest of the day, bye. So Hawke definitely knows something is up. Victor tries to lay into Poppy to behave better so that the sadist doesn't have cause to hurt her, but Poppy points out, as we all know, men will make up any excuse to get what they want.
Yep, because men are gross, always. Like, you know the shit they do with dead bodies? Horrifying, sick. Mm-hmm. I don't want to die. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for that reason only.
They want that. They want that black pearl.
Yeah.
Good callback.
So that night she puts salve on her welts and is hanging out by the windows, thinking about stuff. She thinks about how much she misses the Capitol and the Queen, who seems like she was actually nice to her. She thinks about the attack that killed her parents and left her with a bunch of scars, and about how she really isn't into being the maiden and isn't really that excited to ascend. She doesn't articulate that clearly yet, but it's obvious what she is leaning towards.
Yeah, I said it earlier, but I think JLA does a good job of developing Poppy's thoughts as this book goes on. Like, I think it was in our group chat that someone said that this book can feel pretty repetitive, and I do see what you mean, because, like, we are getting deeper into things, but every time, like, we rehash something, it starts off at the beginning of the thought instead of kind of where we left off, if that makes sense. Like, as she develops her own opinion on being the maiden, she always starts off with, like, ugh, I'm not a very good maiden, how will the gods find me worthy, to I'm not a very good maiden, how will the gods find me worthy? Evil, she doesn't want to be worthy, you know.
Yeah, she's excited to not be worthy, and I think that's a good transition for her. I do think the pace meanders a bit in the first half of this book, but I do think it has to be pretty chatty heavy to get her into that headspace she needs to be, and to make these major decisions and make that leap from, like, I'm not worthy to I don't want to be worthy. And like, given how she's been abused since she was a child, and she has seemingly just accepted it as this wild thing that happens to someone who's supposed to be uber special, she would need to have a lot of those deep thoughts and feelings and convos over and over again, considering the actions are not speaking louder than words at this juncture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think this was just harder for me because I was taking notes, so I was having to read it very carefully. When you're just, like, rolling along with the story, like when I was listening to the audiobook, I could just be like, hell yeah, Poppy, you work out that self-actualization and just, like, keep moving on. But yeah, then rereading it and making sure I hit all the story beats, I felt like I just kept saying, oh, well, she's insecure about her face again.
That scar, you know, such a nightmare. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So as she is staring out the window thinking these deep thoughts, she sees a fire start going up along the rise, which is a sign. The evil mist is creeping in, and with it, the craven. So Poppy runs to grab her weapons and a disguise. Again, just a mask and a hood, basically.
Cloak.
Yes, a cloak. She gets interrupted by Tawny begging her not to go, and Tawny relents after Poppy says that she needs to do what she can to protect others. Tawny tells her not to die, lest she be sent off to live the life of a nun with mandatory celibacy. She sneaks out of her room and then makes it out of the palace right before the gates shut. She gets up onto the rise and runs close, but not too close to where the others are. She sees Victor down with his men, and she gets her bow ready, then hears the noise of the craven. Quote, "Their pale bodies, a milky white, leached of all color, their faces sunken and hollow, eyes burning like fiery coal, mouths open wide, revealing 2 sets of jagged, serrated teeth. Their fingers were elongated into claws, and both their fangs and their claws could flay skin like the softest butter." As I said before, these are feral vampires. She tells us that this is what the Dark One sent all those years ago to kill her and her family.
Yeah, this is another moment where my brain just like made up whatever I wanted as I read. Like, I just pretended that the male lead from one of our other episodes just didn't have blonde hair because I didn't want it. So I also totally blocked out what the craven looked like. Like, I absolutely pictured them as emaciated skin bags with like slate gray skin, and then they all run on 4s, like all 4s, like little beasts or something, which is probably why I think of them as like zombie-ish monsters rather than how you sum them up as feral vampires, which I think is like very apt.
I mean, I kind of picture them as the ghouls that you can summon in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing, totally. But not like white ones that always fart near you. You know what I mean?
Do they always fart?
Well, they always use that stupid stink spell. You know what I mean?
Oh,
gaseous
yeah.
or whatever. And then you always walk through and you're like, ugh,
that's
because
true.
it smells so bad.
That's true. That is a fart spell.
Yeah,
So Poppy starts ranged attacks on the craven while the guards jump into melee. Eventually, a few break through and start to scrabble up the wall. A couple of guards around her fall over the wall with the craven. She notes that these ones seem a bit smarter than the average craven. I don't know if that ever becomes relevant, but she notes it. The fight diminishes eventually, and she picks off a craven on the ground in front of a corpse who was just having a little snack, just chewing on some flesh, minding his own self. Suddenly, Hawke is next to her and is like, "That was amazing. You're so deadly and competent. It was so hot." And he does not seem to know who Poppy is. He just thinks it's a random. She tries to scoot around him without speaking. He follows her, and they have a slowly escalating physical fight. She twists, he dodges, she throws a dagger at him, and he moves oddly fast out of the way.
A hint.
Yeah. Now he asks, "Who the fuck are you, and why are you out here wearing silk slippers?" And then he is like, "Oh, I know this dagger, princess." He has her pinned up against the wall, and they banter some more. She won't tell him who she is, and he's fascinated that she's so good at fighting and also mean. And then he also compliments her breasts and grind on her a little.
Yeah, as you do. It's fine.
Eventually, Hawke is like, "Okay, you realize that I knew who you were the second you removed your veil, right, Penelope?"
Okay, so the men in these books always have to be like 12 million steps ahead of the female main character, and sometimes I find that bothersome since in my experience men are literally never this observant. But whatever, it's female fantasy. I get the urge to write and enjoy this from an escapist fantasy where men figure shit out on their own, I suppose. It just is just like, why do they have to be so knowledgeable all the time?
I was actually thinking about this phenomenon while I was reading A Curse Carved in Bone. And this is a genre overwhelmingly by and for women. So why are the men always fucking right in the end? Like, they'll betray the woman, she'll be mad for most of the story, and then she'll eventually realize he was right about everything. When is that ever the case? And is that the fantasy part of romantasy for straight women? Like, not that there are dragons, but that heterosexual men will make educated decisions in a woman's best interest?
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I think the fantasy, the escapist fantasy element of these books for women, the thing that really gets them is that men are hyper competent in these books and they can shoulder a load. They can shoulder those emotional loads.
She asks why didn't he say anything to her or the Duke, and he tells her that number one, he wanted to see if she brought it up first, and number two, telling the Duke would make her trust him, her personal guard, less, which is bad practice for guarding. Someone else then calls for Hawke. She tells him to go. He threatens to tell on her if she's going to keep doing dangerous things. She almost blurts out that the Duke will hurt her if he tells him. But she stops herself, and he lets her go, watching her the entire time.
Hot.
She sneaks back in and tells Tawny about how badly the fighting went, that they got like super close. Then someone knocks on the door, and Tawny goes to tell them that the maiden is sleeping, but it's Hawke. And he barges in for their talk, like, damn, let a bitch take her shoes off.
She doesn't even do that. Yeah.
No. So Hawke tries to dismiss Tawny, and then him and Poppy banter some more. And eventually Tawny is convinced to leave the room.
Yeah. I mean, I get why it feels condescending a lot of the time. Like, these are usually written in the first point of view, so we're reading it from like the like Poppy's point of view here, and the male love interests are supposed to be, like, mysterious, which is all good and fun, but you can't tease someone back unless, like, you know them. Like, what would Poppy even tease Hawke for? Being hot? Like, yeah, she can make fun of him for being like an annoying prick, which, I mean, I guess she does, but there isn't a ton of other material, whereas, like, he knows a lot about her because she's like the maiden, and also, like, he has to protect her, and also, he's got other nefarious reasons for being around.
Yeah, he knows way more about her than she knows about him. But that's by design. And you're right, that does make it hard to tease him because he's like a locked box.
I would absolutely tease a man for being conventionally attractive.
You would, yeah. It would go over well for you.
So he makes some more lecherous comments that we are clearly meant to enjoy. He likes her hair. He implies he can see the outline of her body by the light of the fire. And then he tells her that she is nothing like he imagined. And it's like, what did you imagine, Hawke? Why are you thinking about her previously? More foreshadowing, though, that he's up to something. He tells her that he knows she's empathic or empathetic, but not like the magical power part, just that she has empathy for people, like her maid and the tallest.
She's just a nice girl.
Yeah.
Nice.
She feels for her maid. She feels for the Tullis family, which is that one that came and talked about, like, please don't take our third born kid. She's a good person, is what he says. He tries to pull out of her again why she fears the Duke, and she will not tell him about the pervy whippings. He asks her why she bothers to fight, and she tells him the whole story about when her parents were killed. He makes some comment about feeling like they've known each other longer, like every man who ever tries to hit on a woman. But sure, fine.
I don't know, maybe I'm the weird one because I was into it.
He decides to also mention that he knows about the Child of the Gods dispensing death with dignity thing that she does, but that he approves of the sentiment. As he goes to leave, she asks if he really isn't going to say anything more about her fighting, and he responds with, quote, "The next time you go out, wear better shoes and thicker clothing. Those slippers are likely to be the death of you. And that dress, the death of me," end quote. Over 16,000 people have highlighted that line in Kindle. So the next morning, she meets Victor for fight lessons, and Hawke is already talked to him about Poppy being on the rise. Victor is kind of mad, but mostly worried. They argue about whether or not to trust Hawke, then they hug it out. This relationship is too wholesome, and I feel like something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, that's foreshadowing for you.
The next day, the Duke and Duchess assemble outside in front of the rabble of the city and chastise them about the Craven attack. Poppy and Tawny are being escorted by Hawke and Victor, who are sniping at each other the entire time. The public is yelling about how close the Craven got all the way up to the wall. The Duchess says it is because the gods are unhappy, that they know the population of Solace is losing faith in the state religion.
And that would be bad, because then they're out of fresh babies.
Yeah, that's like actually why.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, who wants to keep having kids if like you're going to get stolen?
Yeah.
The Duke starts laying into how this is what they get for harboring dissenters, that following the Dark One is turning the gods away from protecting them. Poppy thinks about how the Ascended are stronger and more durable than humans, but none of them fought the Craven the night before, just the humans did.
Yeah, and why would they, though? Because they're the aristocracy. Like, they go out there and fight, like, the monsters. You always throw the poor people at the monsters.
Yeah. So the Duke is saying a bunch of shit about how gruesome Cravens kill, clearly to scare people. And Poppy is trying not to get overwhelmed by the fear she is feeling from the crowd. But then she feels an odder emotion from about a dozen people in the crowd. She tells Victor and Hawke, and they watch with her as one guy moves closer to the stage. The Duchess cuts in at this point in her husband's speech to say, yes, very scary. But we've talked to the gods, and they will protect you if you remain loyal to us. So yay, everybody cheers.
Yay.
The man that they have been eyeballing in the crowd starts yelling, calling them liars. He says they do nothing to protect them. They steal all of their third and fourth children, and then he throws something at them. It hits the wall behind them, and they see it is a severed hand of a craven. As he gets tackled and restrained by guards, the guy keeps yelling the dissenter motto, "From blood and ash we rise." The Duke laughs and is like, "Oh, look, the gods just showed us one of you. Yay." They all hustle inside, and Poppy and Tawny speculate on why the dissenter would say that about the taken children. They are working in the temples, of course. Hawke points out that this fear could be laid to rest if the families could just see them, and the two women have to agree with that.
Yeah, like, people have these things called families, and they get very touchy when a kid just disappears forever. You'd think people would be a little bit more concerned.
Yeah, they don't even have them, like, wave from the doorstep or anything.
Yeah,
They're
there's
just gone.
there's no reunion day, no, like, potluck, nothing.
So Hawke asks to see, you're even allowed to see nuns that are cloistered. You'll have like a visiting day.
They do.
Anyway.
They have a visiting day. You can be like, hey, they're like, hi, and then they go.
Hawke asks to talk to Poppy alone and then checks her room before she enters. He asks if she was okay, having picked up on her dizziness that she felt when she felt the crowd's emotion. She says yes, and then he immediately jumps into saying that he hates talking to the veil. She admits that she's not a big fan of it either. Again, just part of her not liking her status. So Poppy goes to see the Duchess. She explains that she's been feeling something other than pain from people, like anger and fear. I thought that she could feel all emotions, but that's on me, I guess. There's just a lot to remember in this book.
No, I mean, you're, like, right. Well, spoiler, I guess. She does eventually feel, like, all the feelings. She's like that girl from Mean Girls who's like, I just have a lot of feelings.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's got to be exhausting, though, if you can feel all feelings.
Yeah, that would be.
She learns how to deal with it.
I once read a book a long time ago. It was like old YA book about a woman that could, a girl, who could sense the deaths of every living thing.
What, like plants and shit?
Yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah, and there was no parameters there. And I was just like, because it starts off with her, like, on a boat with the boy that she's eventually going to get with. And she's like, I can sense something. We need to, like, go find out what it is. And he's like, okay. So they're boating around, and then she finds a dead fish. And I'm like, okay. If this is about going to be finding dead bodies of people, I understand that. But if we're out there finding dead fish, what's to stop you from being like, literally everything dies except for rocks? Like, what?
Do you remember that one Allie Hazelwood book when they're like driving and the girl who's like, you know, Rey from Star Wars? I don't remember what her name was in this book, but they're driving on the side of the road, and Kylo Ren is driving, and and they drive by like a dead animal. Like, they didn't kill it, but like it was just on the side, and she like immediately starts crying, and I was like, no, this is the most unrealistic part of this whole thing.
That was Love on the Brain.
Oh yeah, thank
you. They're coming back from the conference. Yeah.
The Duchess is being weird about the whole thing, and Poppy is trying to read her, which of course she can't, and the Duchess seems relieved that Poppy's kind of downplaying this and that can't read her. Then she tells Poppy that it is probably her gift maturing before her ascension, but don't tell the Duke. Please don't tell the Duke. The Duchess asks what Poppy knows about the first maiden, like the first one ever. She says nothing, so the Duchess explains that she was unworthy, but unrelated to that, the Dark One killed her.
Oh, phew. You know, can't have that sinful bitch around.
Yeah, they don't say like exactly what she did that made her unworthy. They just talk about her with a lot of scorn.
Yep.
So later, Poppy is in a lesson with the priestess, and she is reading aloud from a very dense and boring history about the War of the Two Kings. The priestess scolds her for a mispronunciation, and Poppy thinks about hitting her. Hawke, who is in the room guarding, cuts in and says that actually the maiden is correct. His family is from near that area, and they pronounce the mountain range that way. And he is so sorry to interrupt, but he doesn't want the maiden to sound uneducated or anything. The priest gets a little cat butthole mouth, and Poppy tries not to laugh. Poppy asks what will happen if she doesn't ascend? How will it stop everyone else from ascending at that point? And yeah, I also have the same question. The priest reels back to slap her, but immediately Hawke is next to her grabbing the priestess's arm.
Hot.
So the priestess says, "How dare you?" And he's like, "How dare you try to do this to the maiden?" The priestess relents and says some more shit about how she's unworthy for even asking that. And she'll see what the gods do with her when she ascends. Poppy asks her what she means by that, but the priestess just says the session is over. So Poppy and Hawke leave, and they argue about the fact that he stepped in. She's like, "It's nice, but I'm afraid you'll get in trouble." So he kind of questions her more on that, and Poppy is like, "Well, the priestess and the Duke have a similar temperament, and I'm just worried that he'll punish you harshly." You know, because she's still trying to not tell him about the beatings.
Yeah.
And he clearly still doesn't buy it. He knows something's up. So he tells her that the priestess is a bitch, his actual words in this book, and that being the maiden sounds like it sucks, which are my words. He says that she has no freedom, can't have friends, can't have hobbies, and like, what does she get out of it? What does she even want to be the maiden? What if she doesn't ascend? She just dances around answering that. They discuss if Hawke or Victor would force her to ascend, like if she kind of pulled back at the last minute. And she admits that although Victor loves her, he would. Like, he buys into the state religion. Hawke asks if she's ever snuck into a rite before, like the ceremony, and she says no. Then implies that after the ceremony and the immortal transformations, that there's an orgy, and Jennifer never changed.
Right. Like, she's got some classic notes that she likes to hit. That's for sure.
Yeah. There's also a crazy theory out there that these two series are actually connected. And I can't remember how exactly, because I was reading it when I was trying to find out when the Faux Ra sequel was coming out. And then I stumbled upon this and I was like, because I hate spoilers. But maybe they're connected because, like, the Ascension is that religious orgy from the Fall of Rune and Wrath. I don't know. I'm sure the actual theory is better thought out than this, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw all those kind of ancient Greek and Roman names on the map, I was like, oh no, this isn't Earth again, is it?
Yeah, like, given how close the place names were, and the added element of electricity, I can see the reveal eventually being something like that. If not, like, in the same world, in a previous, this is our Earth, just like in the future, when climate change creates monsters that suck on human blood. Yeah, so.
They look out over the garden and discuss her various face coverings again.
Yeah, as you do.
She asks about his family, and he says he has a brother. She feels that emotional pain from him again and tries to temper it with her power and sorry for your losses. He seems befuddled for a moment, then says his brother is not dead and changes the subject. So, nighttime. She sneaks out to go to the Athenaeum, which is the library, and read that horny book that the other women were talking about. She's been thinking about the fact that she doesn't have any rights and she is feeling pretty rebellious. She sits down in like a little reading room of the library and gets so wrapped up in the story that she doesn't realize it has been hours until she hears the Duke elsewhere in the building. So we find her perching on a ledge outside of the building, out of view of the windows to avoid being seen. After 30 minutes, someone comes into the room that she skedaddled out of to talk to the Duke. The guy talks about basically torturing someone for information, and Poppy realizes that it is the dissenter, the one who threw the hand. The guy tells the Duke he didn't seem to be connected to an organized dissenting group and still swears that he knew that the third and fourth kids weren't going to the temple, but doesn't know anything else. He says that he got the hand from a guard who turned, and the Duke scoffs at the death with dignity people. The guy says the dissenter is still alive down in the dungeon, and the Duke essentially says he'll go kill him himself, and they leave.
So it feels to me sometimes with this whole background with what she knows about her world, that it would be a tell for me, for Poppy at least, that the Duke is not exactly who she thinks he is. Like, yeah, sure, he's into sexual sadism. Who isn't at this point in this book? But like that he would want to get his own hands dirty by killing a dude in a dungeon seems like maybe a step too far. I don't know. Maybe I just sort of felt like that should have been a clue for her that something's not on the up and up.
Yeah, I don't know. it feels sort of normal for me. Like, why wouldn't a ruler want to kill a rebellious peasant, even if he's the one to do it, you know? Like, I don't know, maybe, like, current media has just made me, like, less sensitive to this sentiment. But
yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could definitely be. I think, like, when I think of these people, though, I think of them, like, busy lounging amongst their oil lamps. Like, they don't want to get their hands dirty in dungeons. Like, they probably just want to eat babies on their settees. And then, like, I just think of them as having a closet full of, like, really white starched shirts.
No, I think he's just a weirdo who wants an excuse to torture someone who is, like, onto him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think he is. I just sort of, it's like, why isn't Poppy being like, wow, maybe he isn't just a sexual sadist?
Yeah, I could understand. I mean, like, I know it was vampires by this point because I'm pro-vampire. But I could understand how Poppy doesn't jump to, yeah, I think maybe he's eating people.
yeah.
She thinks about how long she should wait, and then hopefully the door isn't locked, and then she hears Hawke's voice ask if she's okay. So he knew she was in there. She was out there. He seems irritated, and she makes her way back inside. He's like, how the fuck did you get out? She doesn't want to answer. They glare, they banter, and I fuck, and she thinks he's about to kiss her, and that she is 100% into the idea.
Me too.
Instead, he asks her again how she got out. Startled and embarrassed, she tells him about the servant's passage. She asks how he realized she was gone, and he said he went into her quarters to see if she wanted company. She is again startled to see that somebody cares about her like that. You know, like a human.
Yeah, after all of that.
Yeah. She tells him she came here to read, and then about the conversation she overheard. Hawke is very intrigued that the fact the dissenter is being killed quietly in the dungeon bothers her. Like she understands it's weird that it's like something they're keeping hidden.
Yeah, like he also says that, like, in the same vein that she's different than all the other girls.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because, like, this sort of seems to bug her that this is happening. And not only that, but, like, the third and fourth child being taken from their family seems to bug her. Whereas, like, he compares her to Tawny, who seemed bored by the whole conversation with the baby. And I was thinking, hey, look, who among us hasn't zoned out during a work gathering? How dare you? Tawny is a delight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also she straightforwardly believes that they're just being, like, made into priests and nuns and shit.
Right. She's not thinking critically about it. This is the very first time that, like, Poppy has thought critically about it. Give her some slack here.
He picks up the book that she was reading, and she tries to stop him. He leafs through it, scandalized and mocking. She's like, there's nothing wrong with reading about love, because remember, this was like a pervy memoir. And he's like, that's true, but this ain't love.
Yeah, she was reading, like, about the most intimate kiss or whatever I think it was called, which is cunnilingus, let's just be honest. So, yeah, love is not cunnilingus, apparently, although I would argue, as we have argued throughout the course of this podcast, that it is a good metric for whether or not a partner is worth literally anything at all.
I mean, you can have love and cunnilingus, or just one or the other.
Absolutely,
they don't have
you
to
can
go hand in hand. And this book mostly seems to be about cunnilingus and not love. Then he asks if she's been in love before, and she says no. Like, when would she be able to do that? Like Tawny, Victor?
Yeah,
I mean,
who would it be?
He's got such a good voice, Victor. I get it.
That's who Dem would
like,
go for.
I know my voice is not it, but Victor.
She asks him the same, and he says that yes, he has been in love, but it was a long time ago, which is weird because he's like 25, right? Right?
Listen, I act as if my high school and college relationships were like basically in a past life because I feel so far removed from them, but I'm like 30, so they really weren't that long ago. So I'm just saying I get it, Hawke.
Time is relative.
It's fake.
So then I guess to like distract her from answering questions he doesn't want to answer, he reads aloud a bit from the horny book before they leave.
Yeah, romantic reading from the sexy book's hot. Why wouldn't you do that?
I'm into it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So that is going to be the end of part 1 because this book is over 600 pages long.
Shit, is it?
Yeah. I double checked on Goodreads before I wrote that, and it's like 622 pages.
Whoa.
Jennifer.
She's got a lot to say.
So much talking in this first half.
Yeah, that's really the shocking thing about these romantasy books is how long all of them are.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, can we just like maybe be a little bit more concise?
No.
Yeah. I will say, like, we're not going to do our wrap up because it's not the end of the book. I will say, in general, I did actually really enjoy this book. And like, maybe it was because I wasn't to the guy's voice and the graphic audio. I don't know, but I felt like it didn't seem as slow as it did when I had to do my notes. Like you said, you can really roll along with the character development of Poppy. It's like, yeah, girl, you're figuring it out. You're doing it. Like, I'd know it's vampires already, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, we don't live in her world, so.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't ever even call them vampires.
Yeah.
No.
We're not being like constantly gaslit, so.
Yeah,
And
true.
We
Like,
have
I've
so much vampire media to draw from. She doesn't even have that. She just has electricity.
yeah, exactly. Like, I was allowed to watch Buffy. Like, I know about vampires.
Right, and the only book that we know that she may have read is like something equivalent to the Bible, a history textbook that has nothing to do with vampires. And
yeah, she read a Bible in like Tom Jones style.
Yeah.
Memoir.
What does she know? She knows nothing.
Yeah. But so, yeah, this is mostly like the setup of how the world works, what Poppy's like, her relationship with Hawke. But the next part is going to be when the crazy stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
There will be gore. There will be more gore. There will be monsters. There will be outdoor sex and then betrayal. Mm-hmm. You have a hot take or a book you'd like us to recap, you can message us on our socials. You can find the links on our show notes. If you like us, please rate and review. That makes us so happy. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'm so sorry.